Hi, this is Clowntown, and welcome to another Factorio Speedrun Breakdown. Today we're going to be looking at an any percent run for version 17.60 from HappyDude. Before we get started, I'd like to remind you that all the pertinent links for today's broadcast, as well as all the links to support me, is down in the description. So hit that like and subscribe button if you like this. Leave a comment. Also, my Twitter and Patreon links are available below. If you want to be a member of the OGs, you hit up that Patreon. Otherwise, you can catch me live also 5-6 nights a week at twitch.tv/Clowntown. Also, all the links to the run for HappyDude, his channel, and his map, as well as a link to the speedrun, is all down in the description, as well as the speedrun software you need to get started to get your speedrun on. With that, let's get to it. Today, we're going to be looking at this any percent run second place from HappyDude as of the time of this recording. This run was a great run for 2 hours, 54 minutes, and 31 seconds. It was done 3 days ago. And as always, let's look at the rules. The game is won by launching a rocket. In version 17, there's no satellite needed. Just launch a rocket however you can. One player allowed, free choice of map, which means you can shut off biters and crank the resources way up, and no external blueprints. However, you can use blueprints created during the run. Other than that, rules have been the same. Time is taken in real time, not in-game time. And submit a video, no console commands, and no mods. With that in mind, let's take a look. Here we go for HappyDude's run. We're going to be playing this video at twice the speed. Looks like he's playing on a different resolution than most people. The extents don't go to the top and the bottom of the screen, but you can see his monitor or his recording screen does, because the live split timer extends up above his Factorio screen. Or is he playing on a Mac? Maybe, I don't know. Had a couple of Mac players come in. Over here, he's got a lot of splits loaded into live split. It is not uncommon. It's definitely not required. You can put in whatever splits that you want as long as the final time is shown. So here he is. He's got a map with a lot of coal rocks. Again, the exchange string will be in the description below. And the goal is to get around 10 of these miners going in 2 minutes. If you can get 8 to 10 of these miners going in these iron miners going in 2 minutes, you're in really great shape. And again, coal rocks are really the key to getting a great head start on a good run like this. He's got a good amount of stone. See, there's some extra stone there, not necessarily a coal rock, but he can do it. There you go, 5 are up. Run around, get a couple of coal rocks. There you go. 2 minutes pass, and he's got 7. The 8th one in his inventory. Not bad. Yeah, pretty good. It's a good measure if you're keeping track of a speed run. Now he's going to go immediately for a coal because he's going to run. You'll run out of coal unless you get coal going around 8 to 10 of these. You need self-feeding coal burner drillers. He's going to get some more stone. And extend that, keep everything moving. He needs a copper pretty soon, at least one copper to start making some copper plate, so that so he can get his science on and get his first power, because you need copper's pretty key, because you need it for your offshore pump, as well as if you start off with any direct feed miners into boilers, you need that, as well as your first power poles and 10 plates for 10 red science. It's pretty key to get that going pretty early. Those are long producing those science potions for red. They produce a long time, and you have to produce them, the first 10 of them at least, in your inventory, handcrafted. So here, this is interesting. He's already got 4 stone. This is a good map. All 4 elements are really, really close to each other, so he can just keep it going. And I'm wondering why he hasn't got copper yet. It might be worth it here in the next couple runs to throw down just 1 or 2 copper to get that cooking. So that, see, look, his handcrafting time is empty here. I would say that's an opportunity to just skip 1 iron miner and throw 1 copper down, and somewhere around the 10th one, and then he could get his handcrafting on during this time, and he might even already have his next 10 science machine red science done. Right, that might be mix in 1 somewhere around 10 of them. you'll want to mix. You want to drop in one or two copper. I think I drop in 2 on mine, so I can get that copper done and get that science done while I'm hustling. He's got I saw on the entrance of the map he's got pollution on, which is interesting. If your machine, if your the CPU or your machine that you're playing on is not very powerful, for a speed run that doesn't have any biters, you want to turn pollution off. Also, that the decorative is where the smoke comes out. But if you're on a beast of a machine, just leave that running. It's fine. But just as a warning, if you're already struggling, you since your time is taken in real time, you do not want any slowdown on your machine to happen. You want it to always run at peak performance. So if you're interested in performance, shut off those decoratives and shut off that pollution, because it's all just UPS calculation. UPS, if you're new to Factorio, UPS is the measure. It's called updates per second. It's really the measure that we. Oh, looks like he has a break in the line, or he didn't feed everything. He's got quite a few things out that he's got to really refeed. So 9 minutes he's got his first science going, but he's still crafting that hand science, right? The red science in his inventory, instead of moving forward with crafting another miner. It might be good somewhere around 10 or 12 to put down a copper and get those done early, because all you really need is 10 copper plates, right? And then you can have 10 science. Anytime your handcrafting is idle, especially in, say, the first 20 minutes of the game. If your handcrafting is idle, then you're probably missing out on something. And somewhere around once you set up some of your automation in earnest, which is, say, by the time you get to maybe I would say green, your first line of green circuits, you can start easing up on the handcrafting, and you set your tooling up to where you're doing inserters automatically and miners automatically, that sort of thing. Somewhere around when you get your labs. Maybe I take that back. Maybe around 35, 40 minutes, if that's where you get your labs done. Set up your tooling, and then you won't have to do constant handcrafting. You can kind of do it as you need, especially when you get boards up. That handcraft goes real quick. I like the setup, though. He's got a lot of coal running, and he's got a little makeshift before the line. Looks like a little bit of red from his previous run. Doesn't mean it's necessarily bad or run is ripped. And, oh, look here, he's going right to left. Okay, very interesting. I've only seen one other person go right to left and be super successful, and that's Narf03. If you want to go check out some very original builds and original runs, Narf03, always recommend that if you want to break your paradigm and really kind of shake up your understanding of how things work. He's a really, really good one to watch. There's lots of good. There's lots of good speedrunners in this community. Good. So he's got 9 miners set up. It's a great start. Before 15 minutes, his benchmark for himself is 24 irons feeding, which means that's this line. That is likely 24. He means 24 furnaces, not 24 miners. You don't really need that. There you go. Yep, and he hit that, and he's a little bit ahead. He's taking one away so he can feed and make sure he gets 15 aside, because it looks like he's only got 14. And he's out of power. Got to run up there. He's got plenty of coal in his inventory. It's a good thing. He's got to just throw that in. He did some chopping earlier, so he's got 104 power poles. That's really good. When in doubt, this is something from some guidance from Nephrums, who is the current world record holder. He says, when in doubt, if you're struggling on something to make, power poles. Chop some wood and make some power poles. You'll always need them. So there he goes. He's got his next set of burners made. He's tripled his power. And There's his, let's see, he's got 15. He's got one side of that iron is perfect. Neither excess nor famine. He's minding that. One other way that he could do this is to plan it out with a blueprint. Just copy that little section, paste, and that would set it up for him. I took that from the last video I did, which was for Everlord. He was good about using his blueprints to kind of not really to use. You don't have bots at this stage; it's super early, so he won't have bots. But he's going. You use that to kind of measure and index where you're going to put stuff. So instead of measuring out with belts and counting it out manually, do it once. Take a blueprint shot and put it over. Is that mixed? Or no, it's decoratives. It looks like he put it on stone. It's decoratives. See, there's lots of players that play with these decoratives on. See all this this business with the grasslands and the desert. I shut all of that off because I don't want it to ever draw my my focus to think that am I really on? Is it really a coal rock? Is it even a rock, or is it just a decorative? And I run over there and hit it with my hammer, and it's not there. Those are just distractions to me, so I usually shut those off. Plus, again, are we here for form or are we here for function? And for a speed run, I'm here for function. So I shut all that off. Interesting, I would say this is an interesting smelting arrangement that he's got. It might just be because of the map that he's got to snake this around a little bit. But that's an interesting delivery to the line. He's going to do another 24 here. Just to do another 15 copper and another delivery of one side of ore. It looks like he's going to have to do something pretty interesting for coal right there too. I think it's just because the area is cramped. Otherwise, it might behoove him to just shove the whole thing down whole thing that way 2 or 3 squares. If there's not something on that side that's preventing him. He's running power up there to those coal miners. I don't know if he forgot that or he just ran the belt first. He just didn't need it. But it might now be good to keep those going. Yep, he's going to go get some stone. This is a great map. I may have to try a run or two on this one because having those 4 elements all together, coal, stone, iron, and copper, that is a great starting area, plus a bunch of coal rocks. Pretty good. I don't know that it gets much better than that. Make sure you guys try this one of your own. The map exchange string will be down in the bottom. So he's got pipes and a lot of gears. Okay, this is going to be interesting. I haven't seen someone who makes so many gears, or maybe it's just initially. It's not a bad idea because you do need a ton of gears initially. But he's got a hand-fed gear right there. So I wonder if he's going to switch those over here in a minute to something else. I'd be surprised if he didn't switch those over. I don't know that a line can even be supported by so many gear makers. Certainly not by the time you switch to level 2 assemblers. So it might be that, okay, here we go. 4 of them are for a belted purpose, such as science, and then the rest of them are just hand-fed for a time to get a boost on miners and inserters, and then he'll swap those over. So here comes red science, and you just got to put some copper plate on the line, so you can just drag that around and probably just ram it right into the belt on that side, because it is the other side is exposed to the belt. There you go. Watch, he should just plug this right into the side, unless you can put it. Yeah, there you go. Put it in a splitter. Then you can extend it up. So that's really good. First, belted green circuits here in a couple minutes. It looks like he's behind on his own benchmarks, but doesn't mean that his run is going to be behind. Factorio is one of those interesting games that ultimately, if you have a bunch of reds, then depending on how you play, even if you didn't do things in the right order, you can eventually still catch up later on because you've over prepared in the beginning but then the payoff is later on. It doesn't necessarily mean that if you get 4 or 5 reds in a row that you're gonna be red for the overall run. It's a very interesting game. That's why it's a really great game to speed run. No cutscenes. The only RNG is from the biters, and if you want to turn those off, it's kind of RNG from I guess the map too. But in the any percent, you can kind of control which map you get. And it's all about your strategy, your tactics, your build, and what the other speedrunners call the meta. Like what is the build order and the method, build order and method and strategy. I guess that's all combined. What's the meta on that? All right, so there's belted greens. He's got a few of those, and now he's got to make, since he has belted greens, he wants to make assemblers that contain belts and inserters for green science. So he's got that. You can support a line with those level 1 assemblers. You can support a line of green science, probably 10 long. So he can really expand that green science if he wants to. For now, put him into a chest. It's not a bad plan. My name is Clowntown, and I endorse this message. Here we go. He's got 4. That's a decent starter size to get green science off the line. There are some key green sciences that you want early on. Ones that come to mind is science research. That'd be a great one to get on early on research speed, as well as the medium power poles is pretty key. And depending, hope he's got to reset them. Steel furnaces is a good one to get done if you can get some stone early, which he did not do any bricks early. I have since changed my method and got brick and set up one burner miner and 1 furnace to do bricks. Just start at the very beginning of the game, and by the time I'm ready for oil, I have all the brick that I need to get oil done super early. This is one I learned 2 or 3 speedrun commentaries ago. I think that I made that observation when I was doing Everlord's review, and I learned from it. I always learn something from every one of these I do, no matter how many times I've done it. So these are super good, super fun. So I appreciate you guys being here to learn along with me. So there's the inserter build. That's pretty important early on. Got to limit those chests. I made that mistake before. Good job. So 4 and 4. It's not the end game. Red and green science. He's going to need a lot more, but it's good enough to get going, and it's a pretty fast start to have greens up by 32. So now he's going to fill up the iron belt. Interesting. He hasn't done a full iron belt yet. There you go. That's 30 miners, and he's got to split that to the other side now. He's going to do something different with that coal because that coal's going to interfere. But otherwise, looks good. There we go. Now there's the brick. Okay, good. That's good. He's hand-fed brick like I hand feed steel. That'll be very handy when he goes to do oil. Looks like his own oil says in around 18 minutes he's gonna have oil set up, oil rigs at least. You don't need oil. You don't need stone for oil pumps. You need it for refineries. So by the time in about 18 minutes, he'll need those in his hand if he's going to complete. If that oil rigs means that he's going to have oil refining into petroleum gas. He's got a lot more labs that he's going to make. He's going to do a buffer here for green circuits. That's a great idea. Green circuits are almost always needed till the end of the run. Cool buffer of gears as well. He's got some hand feed buffer that he's grabbing from out there. Those are likely either come up or change. He hasn't fed those to iron. I wonder if there should be a priority on either of those splitters, either the iron that is splitting from green circuits and gears, or the copper that is splitting off to these the rest of these green circuits. It may not look like it can keep up. Interesting. We'll see. So he's double-sided the green circuits so that that feeds down both sides. You can compress the belt and build up a little inventory on the belt. That's good. It's called F the belt technique, where you run along and hold down the default key to pick something up off the ground is F, so you call it Fing the belt. That's what we do. So it needs 30 more miners. Got to double up power. A couple things that take a couple key things early on that take a lot of power. Number one, miners. Miners when they are running, or miners are interesting that they're one of the only buildings that do not have a drain. And a drain is the attribute of consuming power when not running. So if a miner is not, that means since a miner does not have drain, that means it does not consume power unless it is running, which is great. But when they are running, they do take up the power. They can consume a lot of your power. And the number two thing in the early game that takes a lot of power is those science labs. They will get you. So before you plunk down a massive amount of labs and a massive amount of iron, you need to make sure you have you've extended your power pretty good. My method for power is I used to do the ratio of 1:20:40. That is 1 offshore pump, 20 boilers, and 40 steam engines. That's a good ratio that also works. I've since extended that to 2:24:48. So that is 24 boilers, 48 steam engines, but that only works if you have 2 offshore pumps. So you just it's a pretty easy way to extend your existing power a little bit more, but you do need a second offshore pump. Offshore pumps are cheap, but in the beginning you don't want to throw down a ton, and you kind of want to make room to plug in a second one. So you'll see on my speed run, I'll do something similar. So he's extending his second line. He's just going to plug that right into splitter. There you go. That answered my question. I was asking about, does that splitter that he just plugged into, does that need priority? And the answer is no, because he's just going to add some more to it. Good job. So if you guys are ever wondering about this sort of thing, make sure you contact these speedrunners and ask them questions. That's how you learn. And say, hey, the same way. So you'll see me do a lot of this, or I'm kind of ask questions out loud, or maybe I'll message the speedrunner and ask him, hey, what's going on with this? What's the reasoning behind this? Most of the time it's self-evident, and I can kind of put 2 and 2 together and understand what's going on when. But there are occasions where something really, really baffled me, and I want to know the reason why. Shoot him an email and ask him. All right, so he's got 8 to 10. That is, 8 reds and, 10 greens, green sciences. So that's the right ratio based on recipe time. Actually, it's not. It's close to the recipe. I think it's really 5 to 6. So if you're going to be exactly right, you want to put down 10 reds and 12 greens. Something interesting is that he uses a bunch of containers there for the. Oh, he killed his power. Uh-oh, there it is. Where is it? There it is. Oh no, which pole did I destroy? I need to go find the pole that I destroyed to make it better. Turn power back on. So this is the second full iron line. He's got everything he needs for it. Really good. All right. So the exact ratio for red and green is more 12 to 10, 5 to 6, 5 reds, 6 greens. You can scale up, double it, but you don't really need it for speed run. 8 to 10 will work. That's what I use as well. All right, there we go. Everything's good. Oh, one of the other things I was going to say is what is interesting is he stacked up a bunch of labs all together. So most speedrunners will put down a long line of labs and have say like mine is 16 labs, 16 inserters feeding the labs on the line, and then it's a 16 by 2, 1 deep. So I have 32 labs. What it looks like he did is he has 4 by 8. So he might have 32 labs, but he's got 8 deep, meaning that they're acting as containers, and inserters are feeding, having to push it all the way down to the 8th one at the very back of the stack. So there's a change a while back that made labs like containers, which is great. So that if I have 2 inserters facing this way, one passes to a chest and the other passes it to the next chest, etc. Kind of like a bucket feeding line, like the ways you'd put out a fire. Fill up the water and you pass the bucket to the next person, pass the bucket to the next person, and then you dump it on the house. Killed the power again. Just got to find it. Oh no, he just killed power to the new line. There you go, and he's got coal on both sides. Interesting way to put coal on both sides. Oh, it's because that's where the start is. Now he's got to branch off to that side. There you go. Makeshift steel. Similar steel to the way I build it as well. Out of power poles. Got to do power poles. Yep. When in doubt, do power poles. Grab wood on the way. He's doing really good. He's got labs down. He had labs at around 40. I think it was like right at 40, which is that's what I practiced too. One of my best runs, I had labs right at 40 minutes. That's really great. And what I mean is labs is a bunch of labs. Red science is done. In-game red science is done. In-game green science is done. Plus labs. Maybe not all the labs you have for the game, but enough labs to get rocking through the red-green. This is important as well. You want to set up as early as you can feasibly do it. You want to set up a buffer at the end of all your lines, because ore doesn't do you any good, and so you want your your ore mining running all the time, and store stuff as either plate or the base material. You don't want to store it as ore. Ore doesn't do any good for you in a speed run because it's on the ground. However, a plate in a chest, that'll do some good. One thing I just thought about by saying that, and one thing I'm going to try in my next speed run, is that I'm going to, early on, I'm probably going to put an inserter that just feeds iron ore into a chest limited to 5, so I can store up and grab the concrete, the five stacks of ore that I need for concrete very quickly. I think might be worth time. Might save me a minute or two. Thinking of what I have to do near end game to walk all the way back there to miners, and and throw down 5 stacks of ore. Might save me a trip. Yep, and there we go. He's going to pick it all up, and he needs to make some refineries. There he goes. He's got what he needs there, and he's going to put it down. If he needs to make refineries, you can do it right now while you're waiting, because it doesn't look like you have tooling up. Start crafting now. He's doing stone. You need stone for bricks. Most of the stone in game goes to purple science. Then raw stone goes to rails. Tons of raw stone goes to rails. Stone bricks go to purple. And then I think 3 stacks of those, 2 to 3 stacks go to oil refineries. And then a good amount of 4 or 5 stacks probably goes to, will go to steel furnaces, so you can get your steel upgraded. There you go. 4 oil refineries, very good. And he's going to feed right into there. This is really good because his oil build is very close to the refineries, and he's going to tank it. That's good. Get that stored and get that going good. It's 2 minutes away from, allegedly 2 minutes away from oil. So there you go. He's used stone. He's converted all that with steel and stone, converted into steel furnaces, and now he's upgraded to steel. Now we'll get steel way faster. Good plan. I do something similar. I'm a little slower, but I do something similar. I say a little slower. I'm 30 minutes slower than this guy is. All right, so he's upgraded his steel, and here he goes. Okay, it's time to upgrade the assemblers. And now that he has a good steel production, upgrading those assemblers is a good thing. May as well get all those done. It's a pretty quick craft, too, is if you have the steel. The steel is really the bottleneck for that. Make a few, replace some of the gray assemblers with the blue, and you've now picked up some more gray that you can convert, and so on, and you just cycle them through. Okay, you can even do that as you run. Okay, here's the first bit of plastic. This is going to be for red circuits, and you want that to come right off there. And he's got two chemical plants going for plastics. It looks like it's going to be a small red build. You don't need much in the beginning. All right. Oh, no, those are the coils. Here's the reds. Okay, good. That plastic is going to hang a right turn and join with those with probably some green circuits to go on a shared belt, and then the coils will be on their belt of their own, and he'll be rocking with reds. It's a 2-to-1 ratio of greens and plastics. 1 green, 1 plastic, and 2 coils. All right, more copper. You can turn that half line into a full line. And weird configuration, but he's gonna make do because he put his copper on the outside. It's gonna be weird. Instead of just reserving lane for a half line, he's made them both facing the same way instead of coming onto the same line. But it works. Good job. There you go. Now he's doubled up his copper. Really good. And join those two lines. Going to be red green for batteries, and I don't think he's going to be able to support all that. That copper is going to get eaten up pretty quick if you're going to use all that for reds. Where's the output? Is it going the wrong way? Yeah, I think those inserters are the wrong way on the copper coils. Yeah, that's the red output, but there you go. There, now he's turned them around. All right, good. Yep, and they definitely need to be blue. They don't need to be blue on the input of the reds. They need to be blue on the input of the coils and the output of the coils, for sure. But I don't know that a half line of copper will support that long term. But red circuits off the line, very good. Blue science. So now he needs a couple things for blue science. He needs sulfur, which I don't see that up and running just yet. Reds are good, and he needs lots of pipes as well as lots of gears. Good. Extending the power out there. Let's chop some wood because he's low on power, or low on power poles. But I don't count how many. Okay, that looks like 20. He hasn't gone to 24. The other thing that takes is a big jump in power is oil. Those oil refineries and the oil pumps take just those together takes there's another big jump in power, more so than assemblers. So, and counting those, look like 7 by 4. So he's got 28 labs. I think it was 7. 28 labs running. It's a good amount. I think I usually use 32. Some other speedrunners will do two rows of 15, 30. Any in there, but any of those in there. I'm usually behind on green science, so it's a lot slower. Or it's a lot slower to do the purple and the and yellow and blue. And I'm usually done with red, green science pretty quick. But then there is a point near end game where science is you just need so many more labs, and that's really when you're trying to research the rocket. So now he's measuring, so he's put some ghosts in there. It's another way that speedrunners use to measure. Put in ghosts. He's going to shove blue science right here in the middle. And he's got steel. He's going to go for. He's going to start making a line of engines. Engines going to direct feed into blue circuits. Good. Here comes sulfur. He's going to need. I think he's going to make batteries after that. Need some water. And look at there, how good this map is. One little well of water. He's got to route that around. There you go. A little bit of spaghetti never hurt anybody. Just kidding. It's carbs that kills millions worldwide. Heart disease. All right, now there's the engines. And this does take a little bit to build because it is such a big build. And without bots to do it anymore, you got to do it. You now got to do it manually because bots are now on the other side of blue science. So a lot of speedrunners don't belt engines, but there may be a reason to belt engines. None of my engines are almost electric engines are on a belt, but basic engines are never on a belt. They're always direct fed. It's like a 1-to-1, one normal engine to electric engine. But in this case, he's going to put them around and bank up one. It's not that expensive. It's a cheap build. How many ironers? So there would be 1 steel and 4 iron. Maybe 2.5 iron. Can't remember what the ratio is. It's pretty cheap. You're not going to waste a ton of inventory by banking steel, or banking engines on the line. But it's just their ratio. They do take a little bit, and usually they're just slightly faster than the science. So I just have them direct feed. And a lot more coal because it looks like he's going to have to extend power. Power is going to be needed next because he's going to have to extend oil and bots. The bots are going to put a drain on power. Pretty bad because they're going to need all those charging stations, and you're going to need assuming he's going to put bots in the air. Now I haven't gotten this far in the video prep, so he might skip putting bots right in the middle, right in the air. So it's not bad. So this is not bad to to craft up some of the stone furnaces. That is such a quick build, and I have lots of handcrafting time in this mid game. See, look, he's not handcrafting at all. What I would recommend is grabbing stone in your inventory and just click it and make it all handcraft. I don't know that there's a reason to put down assembler and inserter and chest to do that. But I'm not mad at it, though. It does take something off your mind. If you automate something, it will take it off the player burden. But that's one thing, because of the quick crafting time, and because I just tend to have a bunch of raw stone in my inventory. That one I'll go ahead and handcraft, and then later on I'll throw that into a chest to make boilers for bot place power. Either one, but that one is an opportunity to pick up some speed and handcraft your stone furnaces. I always say the wrong thing. I mean, in my mind, I picture the yellow furnace that's super slow that you get at the beginning, and I'll go, oh yeah, steel, stone furnace. So setting up advanced oil. He doesn't have all the outputs declared yet. So here's the batteries. He put sulfur on the line pretty early. Sulfur's a pretty easy one. I usually bank sulfur, but I think he's just going to put it all on a belt. That'd be fine. Also a way to do it is belt that over to Blue Science. 3 batteries, not bad, with some sulfuric that directly feeds in. He's going to need some more sulfuric, so maybe we might see him tank that. Just throw down one tank and whip up a bunch of sulfur, and that sulfur will be used for all your blue chips, blue circuits. So here you go. So now here comes Bots, and he's going to use the engines that he's making. So this is why he belts it. So here's a good reason. I just make four more engine builds, but this is not a bad reason to belt it. Here's the problem, though, is if these engines start taking off, then you're going to limit how much Blue Science you make. See, because now if he makes too much, if he makes too many electric engines, he may starve out Blue Science because now electric engines has a priority over them. I've done that before, and that's why I make I just have all those engines direct feed. But of course, I do spend a lot more time setting up that build because it's a 1-to-1. So if I have 32 blue, then I need 32 engines as well. And looks like his numbers are the same 1-to-1. Then he's using some of them for electric engines. So there you go. So just one thing to keep in mind, one electric engine assembler can support 2 robot frames. So this looks like a good ratio. It looks like he has 10 robot frames being built and 5 electric engines. So he is ratio compliant. That's well done. And then once those are done, then he can grab 200 of those for the rocket. So all good. So he's going to handcraft some things. Yeah, he grabbed some steel and gears and reds, and he's going to put in for a RoboPort. There you go. Get a handful of steel from his buffer. He's going to need RoboPort. There you go. Make 5 of them, and bots. Bots are now in the air. Now it's going to be green circuits. So what he's going to need now is a lot of red circuits. And every single red circuit takes a green. And then right after that, he's also going to need a lot of green circuits for blue circuits. And that's a huge amount. You cannot be understated how many you have. It's a ton. Plus lots for modules. Productivity modules that go into purple. Speed modules that go into the rocket. And RCUs. And prod mods in general for your sciences. The best thing you could do with a prod mod is into an assembler. First thing you want to do is put it into a lab. And then you work your high sciences and on down. I've since, I used to put productivity modules into blue science, and I've quit doing that. There's not enough time to make up by doing that, so I just put it in the labs as well as put it into purple and yellow science. All right, this is great because he's in good shape. He's got a lot of excess ore property to build on. 3 copper. It's called that Mega Green. Oh, and he's lost the place for his RoboPort. He's going to try and find it. There you go. And power those up. Now the bots don't have a ton to do. So they're going to get right on those miners. It's really good. It's a half line that he's placed. Interesting. Unless he's going to convert it into steel furnaces. All right. So here he is placing all of the miners that he's going to need for lots more smelting to get green circuits set up. Green's going to be the first step. He's going to need lots of material to get a lot of greens done. So I'm looking forward to seeing what I also do Mega Green. So a review of say Xenocyber doesn't do a Mega Green. He does individually fed greens, so that the build is for, say, something like blue circuits, and he feeds in copper and iron and or like just the raw materials, however many lines of that he needs, and sulfur. And then it's sections of a build. He does not do a big intermediate green build. And I'm looking forward to learning how another speedrunner does Mega Greens. There you go. And he's going to get another power set here. Does his power the same way I do. And looks like 1 to 20. One other thing that you may consider, I've seen it both ways, is the inserters that you need for power. You can pick up coal. If you have a fuel on the line, you can use a burner inserter. Burner inserters are locked into yellow belts only because they operate slowly, but they do provide quite a bit of brownout defense, meaning they will go a lot longer and they won't spiral downward if you end up using more power than you're producing. If you're doing that with electric inserters, then that will spiral pretty quick, because as power decreases, the inserter will act slower, and then as the inserter acts slower, the power receives fuel slower, and then the power goes down faster, and it spirals down quicker. For that reason, I always use on all of my power, and at least while I'm doing yellow belts, I'll always do burner inserters, because they kind of self-feed. Cost a little bit more coal, and they're fairly limited in their use, but they're cheap and they're slow, and they give me more of a cushion before I crater on power. It looks like he's got hand-fed steel to stone. He's going to make some steel furnaces. That's good. I do something similar, but he's hand-fed his steel to that, so he's got a set amount. It's good. He's got the bots going to come clean up the yard for him. So 3 iron and 3 copper. Look like half lines, though. So that's what I'm confused about. Are they full lines or half lines? Because that looks like half lines. Oh, no. He's going to upgrade the furnaces. That's why they look like half lines. They are a full line. Okay. I got it. That's why the little middle one he cuts off after 12. So these are really... So here in a minute, he's going to bust out an upgrade planner and upgrade all that steel furnace, or the stone furnace to steel furnace. And then the line will be a really thin, full line. I got it. Did not understand it first, but there you go. So good, but he's just placing. That's why he made a bunch of steel furnaces, is so that he can get it going. But the steel furnaces will, the stone furnaces will be too slow. So he's going to replace them. It's not a bad idea at all. You will see here in just a minute what I am referring. He's going to double feed in coal a different way. This coal's going the other way. Going to queue way up into yellow science. He's got rocket fuel at the very end of that. There you go. It's not a bad idea also to kind of feed coal in, so it's always on the belt and recycling. So at this point, he might be in trouble power-wise unless he adds a little bit more power later on from somewhere else, because I only see 40 boilers at this point. So you should be fine for this point, but by the time you get up to the rocket and you start doing things like beacons and all of that, which I did see on his final screen, then he's probably going to want another power somewhere in here. But he hasn't done reds. So he's pulled that same green arrangement and pasted it down there. Good. Pulled the same steel arrangement. He's going to double up on steel, triple up on steel. Good. And see, since that's already there, it's going to be it's already going to be steel furnaces. So that's good. So it's going to take off as soon as he gets iron routed to it. It will just it will explode. Very good. Here's the thing I worry about though, is that without those being down quickly, will he be short on steel in end game, because you do need a ton of steel later on. Iron in the middle. Okay, good. Probably want to balance those at some point. May want to go down one more row. There you go. So, do you have the robots clean all that that trash up in there? I guess so. Just paste right over it. He's going to have to put a splitter at the end of that copper, so that middle line will be used. If you don't remember that, yep, good. Put some radars down. That's a really good investment. All right, now split off the, start feeding all these lines. Looks like he's missing one upgrade. That very first furnace is not upgraded. Looks like all the rest of them are. That would drive me crazy. I'd have to go over there and update it. It's probably why I'm not world record holder. It's because I worry about that stuff. He probably didn't care. Too busy launching a rocket to care about one furnace. It's actually the way you should be. Penny wise, pound foolish. Right, he's going to feed green circuits back on. He's a lot more reds, and it looks like green circuits are limiting red. So he's got to pull that down. He's going to snake that in and start supplementing them. There you go. A little bit of spaghetti. But now his reds are back up and running. It should go all the way down the line with that amount of green circuits. But now he's also got to figure out how to output the rest of them. Put that radar down, and there's the good buffer system that is allegedly reusable. Interesting to see what, I guess, is that green that goes in there? Is it just going to turn those belts and then reroute them? There you go. Does he have chests in the network? Didn't see him put down chests. There you go. Yep. Just turn that in. Big power poles now. Sick of using the little ones. There we go. So here's the deal. Mega power is what he needs next. So that means he's probably going to take that blueprint that he does and do two more of those. It might be that he needs to do that for solid solid fuel instead of coal because I'm not sure how much coal is now on this map. It's going to be able to fund all of that, feed all that coal into all this power. Plus, you got to do something. Got to do something with solid fuel, or light oil and heavy oil. Unless he's just cracking cracking all of it, which is a possibility. Oh, he's pulling up the roboports. Interesting. Okay, that's interesting. I guess if you're done back there, you don't need it. So now he's going to pull up. He's going to feed stone, probably because he's getting ready for rails pretty soon. For purple science, because right after mega red will likely be mega purple. Maybe not mega purple. Come up on hour 47, and mega greens are going. It's really good. And there you go. Underground pipes are in, so it looks like he's gonna really ramp up on oil, I think, if I had to guess. And put them all on the network. He's got more pipes coming. There you go. See, here my thing with oil is I kind of need to be able to walk through there. I'm just going to trim this blueprint and change all of these to, there you go. And there you go. There you go. Double up oil. So I was correct. Just put them in the network and then place them. And those bots will operate pretty quick because they're not overwhelmed. I think that's one of my my issues is that when I first get bots, I've already stacked them up with so many jobs that they prioritize. There is an algorithm, but they prioritize kind of randomly. And therefore, my builds aren't running as efficiently as they could because they'll half place everything. So now he's got solid fuel. We'll be off the line here in a second. Yep. And then there you go. That's what's going to go into. That's what's going to go into power. Yeah, lots of good solid fuel will come off of that. And then just needs to find some water, and it looks like he's got plenty of water on this map. He's got to run over there. See, this is the cost of not putting that radar down, is that now he's got to run over here, put the radar down, and then he can grab the blueprint. Oh, it's not far enough over there. There you go. Now he can grab that blueprint. Yep. Still rolling with 28 labs and doing fine because he's limited on blue science. Looks like it's coming pretty slow. He might be, I guess he would be low on plastics maybe. I don't know. Maybe the reds, maybe those tanks are full now. Maybe the heavy tank is full because I haven't seen where he's now dealing with solid fuel, but he may not be dealing with heavy that well. There you go. And there's Mega Power. He's going to put 4 of them down. Not bad. It's bot placed, and there's four nozzles there. Easy route, and solid fuel is super dense. So not a bad idea at all to put 4. And then just be done with power. You take 30 seconds, and then power is never an issue for the rest of the game. As long as you remember to route it all up and hook it all up, route the water and hook the power into the rest of your base. I've killed myself on several occasions by forgetting to do that. There's another iron line. I can just use that solid fuel as well. Man, so much solid fuel is so fuel to energy dense compared to coal. Can feed so much smelting and so much power. Look how full that belt is, and it's going to be there for a while, especially if you use the The burner inserters, one solid fuel in a burner inserter to just last forever. We use 1 or 2 solid fuel nuggets a game. It's got to expand some plastic. There you go. There's using a lot of plastic for LDS. And let's go ahead and buffer it. So that's the downside of getting quick plastic up, is that now it's not buffered. But now what he's going to do is route it back around. Make sure he has a buffer that later joins up. This will be, this should be reds, mega red. Be interesting to see how this works. 1 to 4. I think it's actually 1 to 6 ratio that you can feed one coil, copper coil assembler to 6 reds. But this may be just the easiest blueprint in the world, so 1 to 4 will work for the cost of, if you go all the way down there, for the cost of like 4 extra assemblers. Done. All right. Yeah, see, that's the problem with bots, is that they don't always place the belt in the right order. So if they leave a square out at the very early on of placing belt, it doesn't get all the way to the material doesn't get all the way to the end, and so your bot algorithm is what limits your speed. Pretty interesting, right? Oh, neat little routing system, doubling up. Do something similar. I did not count how many reds he put down. You can rewind the video and count. But that yellow line should support around 60 red assemblers. Something like that. Three groups of 20, something like that. It's difficult to see because it's top to bottom up, and you put them down by 2s. We'll see if it makes it all the way to the end at full steam. The dangerous part of this is that if it goes more than a yellow belt out, then some of those assemblers won't run. All right, so he's going to route reds back in and make sure that blue science is full. But then he's also got to take, so that line will fill up. Then he's got to also use a bunch of red for purple. And some prod mods. So that'll be all the prod mods for purple here. Minor direct feed, but I'm not 100%. It's the best way to do it, but it's direct feed because I can build a column of that build and then paste all the way. Trying to save on some of the reds that I make. Reds tend to be the bottleneck for me. Doesn't seem to be for him. He's gonna do some more engines. I don't know that is the biggest issue. Oh, okay, all right. Oh, this is interesting. So he's got 4 extra engines, which should supplement the electric engines, offset the electric engines that are up there. That's not a bad plan at all. So 1 engine maker for 1 blue science maker. About that, and then a couple extra on the end to account for the ones that he's peeling off for electric engines and or bots and or the rocket. So you should be able, one of those furnace makers should be able to support 4 purple science makers, so he should be able to have a line of 12. So that's good. Should have 12 purple science makers here in the next, according to his. So if you look up here at his benchmarks, it's all red, but it looks like he did it off. He did not record it, but he did a run for 249. This run is recorded at 254, so he's behind his. Whatever he did at practice was gold. Shame we didn't see that one. Shame we didn't record that one. It's 5 minutes faster. So, but unfortunately, Speedrun.com and the rules we put out is runs require video. So there's the rails. You need so many rails. Probably needs a double-sided belt. And there's those for, he's going to snake that around. Here you go. Yep, he's going to have double-sided belt. And purple's going to squeeze in there. Let's see how many purples he got. He's going to put down 2, 4, 12. Yep, okay, so his ratios are right. One electric furnace to 4 purples. So he's got 3, and then the rails, 4 rails making the whole time. I have 4 rails also, but mine are buffered. And good job putting the prod mods in as before you declare it, because once you declare it purple and you try and put prod mods in, it's going to just suck it into the recipe because prod mods are part of that recipe. I like that build. Well done. It goes right onto the blue line, too. May have to try something like that. Just flip that upside down. All right. Good. Module up those labs before the purples get there. Well done. And now he needs to start getting down to LDS, and LDS needs, or down to yellow science, and the yellow science need LDS. Got to have those speed modules. Need to start making now because they are slow. 12 of those. That's good. Hopefully he has got the reds to support that. Looks like he does, and looks like the green is supporting. It looks like plastic is the one that's not making it all the way to the end, and the copper is. I think I kind of like that red build. Now I may have to try something like that. That might save me some feeding time into the front bit of that, because I make just thinking, I put down 10. Yeah, it's 1 to 6. I put down 10 copper coil makers, and if I can just put that in a blueprint, then that copper can feed right down the middle. I think I'm going to change my build based on what I've seen here. Good job. HappyDude has changed my build. So he's got cracking. Yeah, there you go. Okay, so I was correct. So he's just going to go ahead and everything that is left over. You got to be careful though. Everything's left over. Everything's going to petroleum, but you got to be careful because he's now dependent on solid fuel pretty heavily for his power. And see, all right. So now here's the issue. A long versus wide science build. Now that is, so we'll call that one a 4 by 14 build. So four modules face the belt, and then 14 long. That's not as good as a 14 by 4. What you don't want to do is have science delayed because inserters are passing it all the way to the end too much. Somewhere around 5 and 6, that becomes a little delayed. So you may want to, if he has one other suggestion I would have is if you have the opportunity to turn that belt differently, he could probably pick up some time, because as he gets faster, he'll be dependent on science to make, and if it's passing from insert to inserter, it's gonna cost him some time, which it may. But if he's ever waiting on, so far he hasn't been waiting on science. He's only been waiting on the science material to make. He's not been waiting on the labs itself. If you're waiting on the labs themselves, then that's when that may come into play. Which probably not until the rocket that it does that happen. Is you need the labs to hurry up and work, because you feed all the science there. It's all in the belt. And it's just a matter of how quickly can the labs consume them. LDS is not a big deal. Complexity-wise, it's 3 components. It's also not a big deal for steel and plastic. It doesn't consume too much. But the amount of copper it sucks in is pretty big. So you can't underestimate the amount of copper. I think I have 2 yellow belts of copper going to LDS. 1 per side. Consumes a ton of it. Spaghetti. So he's going to put, what's he putting on the other side of that line? It's just more steel. Okay, now he's doubling up that steel. Steel with plastic, he's going to run it himself. It's a good idea. And then I like this because it's a sushi belt. It's going to go all the way around, and it would be great if he would hook that up on the other end. So now he's getting close, so he's going to do some of the robot work himself and hook all that up. That's good. So that makes it all the way down, so he can store all that stuff on the belt. So now he's got LDS on the line. He needs blue circuits. He needs robot frames. Okay. Just going to grab one of these red lines, which all the red right now is going to all the blue and all the modules, so he might be red short. So he's got green. Okay, good. He needs to move one that way. One square. Unless he's going to join it later. Yeah, he'll join it later then. Never mind. He's got a plan. Good. After, say, the 12th one or whatever, or however many, then he'll do it. He'll just merge that line again. Quick count. Run that up to the sulfur, connect it, and he's immediately got blue circuits being made. That's a really quick sulfur connection. I like that. So as soon as the bots place it, sulfur's done. Maybe 1 or 2 modules that aren't laid down, but so he's going to drag that down. At some point, he'll put in some. There you go. Put in some splitters. Boom! Blue chips are done. Well done, and now hopefully he has been banking the rocket, the robot frames. Uh-oh. Or maybe he doesn't need to. Maybe he's just going to do a line of them. Yep, got to merge those two and not that whole full line. There you go. So many yellow science he makes. 12, 16, 20, 24. Yikes, that's a lot of yellow science to make. I think I have 16, 8 per side. Just LDS is so slow and blues are so tortured. Double up the solid fuel. Good. It's got to be for rocket fuel coming. Coming soon. Yellow science is close to being done. Maybe as soon as he sees the science come off the line, it's done. But you just get rocket fuel going. Rocket fuel is slower than it ever was, and more complex because you need some of that light oil in this latest version. There's yellow science. Like, oh, when he ties it in, it's good. Whenever he ties in yellow science. Ooh. What's he got going on? Trying to figure out a different way to route everything. Might be called time for a red belt. Where's that yellow science going? Spaghetti. There you go. All right. He probably picked up some yellow science. So you probably want to throw that in the bank. When he picked up those 2 end belts. Yep, he's got 6 in his inventory. Might even be worth throwing that in. There you go. You threw it in. All good. So purple and blue are now feeding in. The problem with having that line backed up and not doing some sort of buffer chest is now some of those blue sciences will stop. And the purple sciences will stop waiting for belt space. And I'm always in a hurry to get those purples done, especially when they have material. But I'm either material short or time to make them short. And your science is solid fuel. Good. And clean up a little bit of the rocks. And rocket fuel, he's just going to run all the way down here and probably just stash it in a chest if he puts rocket down here. Way down here. Throw a radar down. And what is this build? Is it RCU build? No. Prod mods. Now, 16 minutes for RCUs. Oh, he flipped the inserter around, so only half those blue chips were working. Rats. That's why they were short. Hard to spot something like that. At least I think that's what's going on. Speed module's looking really good. Needs to put some speed modules in a build or two. And there's RCUs. There you go. So not a carousel build. So he's going to feed those lines, feed those in. Silo is the only thing that is not researched yet, and he should be rolling RCUs. These are super precious. It is going to be sushi belt. How about that? He's going to just double them back. Okay, there you go. Sushi belt is, or a carousel belt means you're going to have some sort of rotating belt that such that the recipes are never going to be, the raw material's never going to be lacking, or belt's never going to get in the way for it. It's usually a slow build where you always want the material available. It's not going to be something like green circuits. That's not good for a sushi build. RCUs are perfect for a sushi build. He's going to be early on these RCUs because that build is almost done. Looks like he's out of the robot range. He's in the RoboPort down there. I don't know if it's worth prod modding those just at this time. I have to do the math on that. I don't see very many other speedrunners doing that. I see them speed module. I don't see them prod modding. Okay, there's some more labs. So here's my thing: is what if instead the belt running along that vertical side? What if the belt turned along the long side and fed upward? That would, I think he'd gain some. He'd have some gains in efficiency from instead of using so many containers, you have 3 deep of containers, or 6 deep containers instead of 14. All right, he's doing some double checking as to what he's not got done. He's checking how much rocket fuel he's made, and he just saw that half of them are not making because they're not producing because there's power poles are missing on that side. Rats. Concrete and prod mods 4s is what is next. So he's going to bank up some of those. Need some prod mods. So far, it's a great run because he's got the rocket silo researching at 230. Look at that. And he's green. 234 RCUs are researching. Or rocket silo is researching. That's really good. It's a damn good time. He's got to empty the inventory. The rocket is going to take a lot of... Wait a second. Just put some engines away. The rocket is going to take a lot of inventory. You can be careful of that. All right, there's your prod mods. Get those moving. Those are the prod mod 2s. I usually go through and make those. I just slam all those in there. I have 2 2s and one. I'm going to slow down purple. He's pulled up all but a little bit of that. Really? Okay. Our purples might be might just be all made now. Very good. So he's getting the stuff for concrete. So he's F in the belt for. Or he's got the concrete that he needs. He just needs some water, which is pretty easy. You just put that up against any old. Shore. A couple of them aren't full. Let's take advantage of that science. It may cost them a little bit later on, but this is going to be easy for concrete right there. I usually do 5 because a stack of bricks is 200 concrete. But he's going to just feed it into a line and then store. Okay. That'll work. Well done. Make 8 of them. It'll make that much faster. It's going to need it because look at that rocket silo. It's going to be, it's really cruising. It's going to be close. Needs that prod mod 3 is what we're worried about here. So he's going to get that moving. And he's got 10. He needs 20. So he's halfway there to prod mods, but he's got to make those prod mod 4s. So he's got to figure that out pretty quick. So he's 11 minutes from launching the rocket right now. It's really good. Really, really good time. It's making great time. See, most of those yellow science machines are not running, it looks like. So that's why I had a question of how many are you putting down? Yep, there you go. You don't need that many. How many you need? Start banking some of that LDS. Good. There you go. And he's going to pull that out of there, and then you just convert all those to blues, I think. Or, sorry, to prod mod 3s and put blues back in. He's got... It's hard to see at 2x. He's waiting for those 2 to finish, then he'll convert those. There you go. Now they're all 3s. Okay, I understand. Good. All right, I don't know if there's much left to do other than go start picking up all the things that he needs. right, so he's dumping his inventory. He needs. He's got the engines. Looks like he's got the concrete, got steel. Needs 200 blue chips. Pipes are easy. 200 blue chips. Can we get them? Gotta go. Where are they, man? Don't tell me we gotta F that belt. Oh noes. Science looks pretty good. Waiting on yellow science on that belt. So look at it passing the. Look at that, all that time. See, it's having to pass it all the way down, and the only ones running are at the end. So every science has to pass all the way down the line. That's why it takes so long. It's probably better in that case to go wide instead of long. Rocket silo still not researched. He's looking for some leftover purples and some leftover yellows. Hopefully those prod mods. He's got some. I guess he handmade beacons. I didn't see a machine making beacons. So he's got 3 more yellows. Oh, he's probably a few yellows short. Rats. He pulled up those assemblies a little too early, maybe. He's got the rocket ingredients. He's a minute over his time. He's probably panicking because he's not going to get his personal best. So look, there's 3 running. He's panicking now. He's going, oh no, I'm short. There it is. So no, he's put it down. He's hand making beacons. He's got to start dragging these over and being ready to put all these in. I put them in a chest next to it. I haven't seen anybody do it the way I do it, but mine seems to feed in the fastest. It's no longer, when I do it, there's no longer belt dependent because it's now chest dependent, and I have stacker inserters. I just make 10 stacker inserters and I'm done. See anybody do it the way I'm doing it. And my build, I can put way more beacons around there. I think mine is up to 20 beacons, and this one is 18. I think I counted in the picture. So that's 13. He picked it up. Still, he's yellow. He's short on yellows. It's still running on that belt. Belt. Rats. He pulled up the yellow too soon. I think that was one of the notes. Cannot insert. Oh noes. He's hand making yellows. Oh noes. Yep, 1 apiece. Let's go. It's got to be so close. Ah, man. This would have got me. Oh man. There you go. Rocket silo is researched. Hit the button. There you go. Consume it all. You got the prod mod 4s. Didn't see it. Nope. Okay. I'm glad I said something. There it is. He ran right by him. It's okay because the silo wasn't done yet. There you go. Shove those in. And there you go. Good. That's a great plan right there, is double up that belt. Good. He's probably got some of his inventory you could shove in. Throw those down. Speed module. All right. Auto launch. See? Oh, he does the same thing. He launches a power pole. HappyDude, if you are in my chat, come say hi. I'll tell you congratulations. Yep, slowly feed those in. It's good. Oh, it's one-sided belt. One more belt down there. You can put on double side. Auto launch with cargo. Good. See, it's one-sided. You can double-side it. Put another one more belt coming out of that splitter and joining the other side. Well done. 2:54. Fantastic time. Yeah. And launched. Well done. Yay, HappyDude. Boom, 2:54.31. Well done. Hot dog. HappyDude, congratulations. Well done. Great time. Come by my chat and say hi. Thank you very much for being here. All of the HappyDudes, the link to HappyDude's channel, and this run, and speedrun.com, and OBS, and LiveSplit, and all the utilities you need to do to get a speedrun as well. And all my support links, they're in the description below. So if you like this sort of thing, leave me a comment. Come by twitch.tv/clowntown 5 nights a week. Come say hi. All my support links are down there. Hit me up on Twitter. Like and subscribe. Leave me a comment if you like these sorts of things. Thank you so much for your time. I hope you enjoyed this. See you next time.